Welcome back. It is finally time to dive into the final part of Season 3, Episode 8 of Heartstopper. So this is the last reaction for the series of Heartstopper. Wow. So the last thing we saw in the previous video was Nick heading off on a university tour with Elle, Tara, and Imogen. And Imogen had just confessed to Nick that she doesn't think she's ever really liked a boy, which is a huge realization for her. Great moment for their friendship. We love to see it. So let's continue. Let's watch the rest. All right, so we have the gang checking out, I believe this is Oxford.
This is very Legally Blonde.
So Tara kind of hanging behind, looking around with not excitement.
So what do you think?
I think I kind of hate it.
So I like that Nick hangs back with Tara to ask how she's feeling, what she's thinking about it, since this was, like, this is supposed to be the goal. So one of the things that we see a lot with Tara's arc is her kind of going down the trail of, this is what I'm supposed to do. You know, I have great grades. I'm doing really well in school. I'm supposed to be the prefect. I'm supposed to be the perfect student. I'm supposed to go to Oxford. But actually being here, it just feels completely wrong to her. And it's great that she's able to recognize that prior to paying lots of money to attend.
Yep.
And Nick just goes, yep. So that's interesting that Nick is not surprised. Like, it seems like we know that Nick is very intuitive emotionally, and he and Tara have a very strong friendship. So
That's it then.
I love Tara's top, by the way. It's very cool.
I don't want Oxford. I don't want any more academia.
This is such a picturesque situation here. I love, like, the beautiful green grass and the river and the bridge and them sitting, and it's a very nice shot.
I have no idea what I'm going to do with my life.
The idea of not knowing what you want to do with your life when you're 18, 19, early 20s, 45. I think very few people go into college, university, knowing exactly what they want to do. And even if they think they know, sometimes when they actually start studying that or trying to be that, they realize, okay, actually, no, that's not what I want to do.
Have you ever thought about a gap year?
I think I want the uni experience, meeting new people and uni sports.
That's interesting that Nick knows that he really wants that university experience. And that kind of really goes against the idea of staying at home, going to the nearby university, everything like that. Because, like, I feel like Nick knows deep down, even now, that he wants a change. He wants to get a chance to, like, go live his life. When you live in a place for a long time, everyone kind of has a set idea of who you are. And then when you realize something like, oh, I'm queer, oh, I'm trans, oh, I'm this, oh, I'm that, it's really hard to dig out of the preconceived notions that people have. So even though Nick has come out, like, he's still in a place where everyone around him has known him for so long that it's still a little bit difficult to be himself. So there's a real appeal to going to a new place and just getting to be really yourself, or exploring different aspects of yourself, or figuring out who you want to be, things like that. So I can definitely see why Nick would want to have that experience, though of course that goes at odds with the fact that he really wants to stay with Charlie. So it's kind of that interesting battle between wanting things to stay the same, but also wanting to change and learn and grow.
I have no idea what I'd do with a year off.
I'm sure you and Charlie would think of a few things. Elle? Tao mentioned you two have been keeping each other entertained.
Tao! Tao!
This is so embarrassing.
It's a rite of passage.
Discomforting music playing. This is a great moment of, like, the shop guy looking at Nicholas and three girls as he purchases these items. All right, and now we're back to Charlie playing the drums in Sahar's band. Oh, and Tao was recording. I love this. I love to see Tao and Isaac there supporting the band, supporting Charlie. It's great in these episodes towards the latter end of the season to see, like, them regaining their closeness and just, like, the walls dropping down between Charlie and Tao and Isaac. And even though Charlie's relationship with Nick has become so strong, he's still keeping up, like, this strong friendship with the two of them as well.
Was that okay? I feel like I messed up the chorus bit.
That was great. Seriously.
Charlie, of course, has super high standards for himself. I love Sahar's band. They are so cool.
Studio tour. Drum for drumming.
Drum for drumming. Indeed, Tao. Indeed.
Oh, I'm so nervous.
You'll be fine, Charlie. We'll all be there cheering you on.
Oh,
Aww.
where's my hug?
Come here then.
Group hug, kind of.
Yeah, I watch the video you guys made me all the time. Whenever I feel down, I just put it on.
That's so nice. Like, I love it for Charlie that he has this thing that he can go back and watch anytime he's feeling down, and it just reminds him of the love of his friends, the love of his boyfriend, just how much everyone cares about him. But I also love this for Tao in his journey, seeing how much good his art can do for someone. Like, he put this together, he and Isaac, using his talents to do something that actually makes a difference in someone's life, especially someone he cares about as much as Charlie. Must be a really good feeling.
What's this song even about, Sahar?
I thought it was about Imogen.
Okay, it's about her, but that's not the point.
The confession that the song is about Imogen. I don't know how I feel about the Sahar and Imogen situation. Like, I could definitely see a future where some years down the road, after they've both kind of, after Imogen's explored her identity more, I could see them coming back together and being like, actually, we do work really well together. But, it's clear that right now is not the time, and maybe it will never be the time, but I would not rule out the possibility of them being good for each other in some future. All right, so we have Nick at presumably his hotel room in Leeds, very far away, listening to a voice note from Charlie.
Really nervous about this band performance, so I'm gonna need a good luck hug.
So he's kind of being reminded of what's tying him to his hometown area. But here is Leeds University.
What are you thinking of studying? Maybe sports science or psychology?
And I love that the girls kind of hang back from the start, just like sensing that Nick is really vibing with this place. And also with the fact that their tour guide is wearing a rainbow lanyard thingy. Yeah, it's clear how good Nick feels about this place from the start.
Would you be looking to carry on with rugby at uni?
Yeah, definitely.
My partner's actually on one of the teams.
This is such a beautiful moment for Nick. Up until now, we've kind of had the two sides of Nick. There's the side of him that is his personality being hidden, where he's just kind of like, hanging out with the lads and playing rugby and all those things. And then there's the side of himself that is bi, that has different feelings about things, that's maybe a bit gentler and a bit, softer. But getting to see an opportunity here to play rugby, which is something he really loves, and also be out and proud and still like accepted by the people around him, getting to see those two things merge by, having an evidence right here of like, oh, here's a queer guy on the rugby team, just seamlessly integrated, not a big deal. Everyone is just totally cool with it, which, obviously from a glance, we don't know if everyone is really cool with it, but it appears to be quite a good situation. You can really see why this would be so appealing to Nick, because he, except for the absence of Charlie, this is like the perfect place for him. He can study what he wants, he can play rugby, he can have the university experience he wants, and he can be himself.
You've been much more upbeat these past couple of months.
Okay, and we're back to Charlie and Jeff.
Maybe we could make our sessions once every other week rather than weekly.
One thing I love about this episode, which, as we've said, has the alarming title of Apart. We've talked before about codependent relationships and how it's really not super healthy to be, even though it is romanticized, it's not super healthy to be in a relationship where you genuinely cannot exist unless you are like focused only on each other all the time 24/7. I love that in this episode Apart, we do get to see Nick and Charlie kind of in their separate spheres, like Charlie with Isaac and Tao playing music, becoming happier, more upbeat, talking to Jeff, and Nick going to Leeds University, seeing what kind of life he could lead, realizing kind of what he wants for his future. Both of them changing and growing and learning separately, even though they are still, obviously together and obviously wanting to stay together. But it's so important that they get to be complete people apart from each other. It's more important that they complement each other rather than can't live without each other, if that makes sense.
I've been feeling okay recently. I mean, obviously I still have bad days, but less often.
That's really the goal when you're dealing with a mental health issue, there are always going to be bad days. And that's not just with mental health issues, that's just with life in general. There are always going to be bad days, but the goal is for them to be less frequent or easier to get through because you can kind of rely on the days when you're not feeling terrible.
I'm very glad to hear it, Charlie.
Oh, and Jeff looks so proud.
Fortnightly it is.
Fortnightly.
Do you think I'll ever get to the point where I don't have any intrusive thoughts?
Well, it's not impossible, but you shouldn't feel that any wobbly moments you have are a failure. They're just normal.
I love that Jeff says that, like, the wobbly moments or the moments where it feels like you're backsliding or things like that. It's not a failure. It's just part of the journey.
Got people in my life who can help me if things get really bad again.
Charlie is really in a point where he's able to recognize his own strength and the fact that he's gotten through all of this and he's doing okay. He's found like a stable place where things aren't perfect, but he can get through them. And the fact that he also says, you know, I am strong in myself, but I also recognize that I can be open with the people around me and lean on them when I need to is so, like, that's such a departure from the Charlie we've seen in the past who, like, didn't want to open up to anybody about what he was really going through. And now he's like, no, actually, like, my friends, my family, my boyfriend, the people in my life who love me want me to lean on them when I need to, just as I want them to lean on me when they're feeling bad. So that's a really important discovery for Charlie, and I'm so glad that he's reached this point.
Even though I love Nick, I need other people. And that doesn't mean our relationship isn't strong. In fact, I think we're stronger now than ever.
That is probably the most important sentiment of this entire episode and possibly Charlie's journey so far. Not only is his relationship with Nick strong, it's actually stronger when he's able to lean on other people, when it's not just Nick is his entire world. It's such a healthy view to have of a relationship. It's better in the long term because, like, when you fall for somebody, it's really easy to just blot out everything else and just be focused on that person. And, you know, there's a beauty to that. There's something really beautiful about just loving this one person so much. But it's not sustainable. Like, it's not a long-term thing. You need other people. You need other things in your life.
I hope you know that I'm going to write that down and read it back to you when you're feeling crap.
Very wise, because yeah, like, I am definitely the type of person who will have these kinds of revelations, and then the next time I'm feeling crappy, they just go out of my head. So good idea, Jeff, to write this down and have it on hand to remind Charlie. And Nick just grinning, looking at the University of Leeds. The phone as the representation of Charlie and everything that's tying him to his hometown area. Charlie and Nellie. That is a long way. That is a long way away. I mean, in the grand scheme of things, it's not terrible, but it's not like you can come home every weekend kind of deal. Yeah, so Nick here trying to reconcile the two things that he wants. He wants to be with Charlie. He also wants to get to live this beautiful new life at Leeds University.
Look, if I move away, it'll hurt Charlie.
Oh, Nick. You're always putting everyone else's feelings above your own.
Charlie will support you. He just wants you to be happy.
I'm afraid of being away from him. I don't know who I am without him.
Again, tying into the theme of, like, codependency. We talked about this before, but the real Nick has only emerged really since he has gotten to know Charlie and, like, falling for Charlie, realizing he's bi, coming out of his shell more, being the real him and not just going along with what everybody expects of him. It's understandable that he would be like, well, if I'm not with Charlie, who am I?
Maybe it's time to find out.
And it is great that Nick has Tara and Elle and Imogen here to kind of tell him what he needs to hear and, you know, give him that sort of nudge in the right direction. And we have Charlie applying for head boy. So we have, why would I make a good head student? I'm a hard worker and high achiever despite many personal setbacks. I care deeply about the students of Truham and want to make the school safer for them. One thing I would change, we can't really see it all, but he's talking about bullying, preventing students from being bullying like he was, and his teacher reference is Mr. Ajayi. This is another really important moment. We have Charlie looking at himself in the mirror, and the usual darker thoughts about himself start to come through. But he's able to push them away, to not let them drag him down in this moment. As someone who has a lot of mental health things going on, anxiety, depression, things like that. For me, okay, the worst thing that happens to me is panic attacks. And when I have a moment where the anxiety is setting in, the panic attack is coming, and I'm able to work through it and make it go away, that is such a wonderful thing. So like Charlie being able to like recognize, okay, this is what my brain is doing. It's not real. It's going to be okay. I can move past it. Like, huge step mental health wise. I'm so proud of Charlie that he's able to do this.
Are you thinking what I'm thinking?
And not only does he push past it, he makes the choice to wear a t-shirt and, you know, bare his arms, show himself to the world. This is such a great moment.
I'm ready.
Oh, I'm so proud of Charlie. Seeing Charlie come into his own and just being so much more confident and knowing that he can depend on the people in his life, but also on himself, is so great. Charlie's journey is so fantastic. And Tori just smiling.
That version is so cool.
It's so nice to see the whole family together in a positive situation. Like, so much of what we've seen up till now, anytime we've seen Charlie with like the whole family, it's been an awkward or tense situation. This is the first time that we really get to see them all together, having a nice time, you know, more open with each other, happier, freer. It's really nice.
The others better hurry up if they want to make the concert on time.
You're just missing Al.
I don't need to be with Al every single second of every single day.
Growth from Tao as well. Yeah, so like the prevailing message of this last episode is that you don't need to be unhealthily codependent to be in love and have like a beautiful relationship.
Yes, cheers to that. Oh.
Michael! Charles.
I think Tori's with my parents. She's not. She's avoiding me. May have posed the question about us being boyfriend and girlfriend.
Poor Michael.
Well, what does boyfriend and girlfriend mean anyway? They're just words we made up to label common experiences in relationships. They shouldn't matter.
I love that Michael has this wonderful take on labels. They're just labels. Who cares? Tori hiding behind a tent.
Michael's looking for you.
So Michael is hands down one of my favorite characters. This moment might be one of my favorites. And Tori just runs. It is nice that we get to have this sibling moment of them on the Ferris wheel together.
So you don't want to be Michael's girlfriend?
What does girlfriend even mean?
You're having a weird amount of trouble with labels for a straight couple.
Okay, so stopping here, you're having a weird amount of trouble with labels for a straight couple. So in the comics, this moment is where Tori mentions that they are not a straight couple. Michael is bisexual, Tori is ace. I kind of understand why they didn't include this moment, because in the comics, there's not an asexual storyline up until this point, whereas in the show, we have Isaac's asexual storyline going on. So I understand that. And, you know, there's only so much they can fit in this episode, and I guess there were other things that they wanted to hit on. But at the same time, I am very sad that we don't get that. That we don't get that moment. I mean, maybe we will in the movie, because I can't imagine that they would just change this fundamental part of Tori and Michael for no apparent reason. But, you know, I love that moment in the comics. So I'm sad that we don't get it. I understand why they changed it. I do still kind of wish it was here. I wish there had been time to include it. I think it says a lot about the erasure that straight seeming couples can receive from both the straight and the queer community. Because like when you see a seeming guy and a seeming girl together, it's like, oh, they're straight, but it might not necessarily be that. So, you know, I really liked seeing that that you can have a girl and a guy together and it doesn't mean that they are straight, you know? So that, anyway.
He really likes you.
Yes, I'm aware.
Like, just, Michael, if this had a different soundtrack, this would be like horror movie. Michael's looking for you. Vwang. He really likes you. Vwang. There he is. But, you know, it's not. It's just endearing, autistic Michael being Michael.
And how do you feel?
I don't ever feel anything.
That's not true.
Yeah, Tori maintaining that she doesn't feel anything when it's very clear that she has deep, deep feelings about many things.
You feel so much, just trapped inside. I understand what that's like.
It's great here seeing kind of the reversal of Charlie having come through his own mental health struggles so much stronger and better able to deal with them, kind of looking at Tori and recognizing a similar thing in her of not being able to open up, not being able to express the things that she's feeling.
Whether you want to be Michael's girlfriend or not, it doesn't matter. You have so much love to give. You don't have to give it all to me.
It's really true. Like, all that we've seen of Tori up until now has been her supporting Charlie, worrying about Charlie. You know, she's really made him her focus. So this moment of him being like, it's okay, I'm okay, you can go, be free.
I'm okay now, Tori. I'm okay.
Oh, hug. Hi, Michael. I like that we don't, again, this is probably partly a time situation, but regardless, I like that we don't see a big conversation between Tori and Michael here. We just see Tori joining him and then doing like the nudge with her shoulder, kind of letting us know like, no, they're going to be okay. Oof. But the university gang are stuck in a traffic jam and are going to be late. And here we have the final challenge for new Charlie. Charlie is so terrified of performing, and all this time he's been like, I need Nick to be there. I need a hug from Nick. I need Nick. He's had this feeling of the only way I can go forward and be confident is if Nick is there by my side. And now he's facing having to do it without Nick there, having to really and truly be standing on his own. And there's a moment where he's like, oh shit. And kind of all the confidence drains from him.
We're gonna miss the band. Charlie needs me there.
And Nick too is like, well, I have to be there for Charlie. Charlie needs me. And Charlie thinks that he needs Nick too.
I'm going at the speed limit.
PSA, don't yell at the driver. When Charlie sits down, he's still kind of nervous. He's still looking around for Nick. But in that moment when he's looking around, he sees his family there front and center cheering him on. So Nick is not there, but Tao, Isaac, Darcy, Charlie's family, everyone else is there. Just like he was telling Jeff, he can rely on the people in his life. He can rely on people who are not Nick. He can rely on himself. This is that moment where it all is represented, where we get to see it in action. It's not just a matter of Charlie saying it, it's literally true. He can rely on the people in his life. He can rely on himself. He's strong on his own, and he can do it. And he does. And we see him starting to smile a little bit. So at first, Charlie's drumming is like a little bit on the light side, not really giving it his all, but you know, still doing a good job. His gaze goes to everyone in the audience who's supporting him, and we're getting a little bit more, a little stronger. He's like, yeah, I know this. I know how to do this. Okay, and we have Nick and the girls running to get there. Imogen, if you can't run in those shoes, take them off, Nick says. So it's great to see that Nick does get there to support Charlie, but Charlie was okay. It's important that they're there to support each other, that they try to support each other. But if there's a situation where they can't be together or where Nick's not able to be there for him, Charlie knows he will be okay. And after he finishes, it's great. Charlie finishes the song before he sees Nick. So he succeeds, and then he sees Nick. And he's just grinning, and Nick is so proud. Well, okay, the song's not done. We're just at a bridge, but still. This is such a wonderful, joyful moment for everybody. Yay! Aww. Nick yelling, I love you, Charlie.
Oh, you did it. You're amazing. I'm sorry I wasn't there before you went on.
It's okay. I was okay.
Yep, and Charlie saying, it's okay. I was okay. Oh, Nick noticing the arms.
You look so good right now.
And then kind of symbolic, Charlie stepping away from Nick to go join everybody else. Oh my God, that giant elephant. I love the way that this episode goes. I love that we get to close out the series with everyone just reaching such a beautiful moment of growth, having such a great day together with like no shadow over them, eating together.
I've been thinking about going to art school in Europe.
That's so cool. I need to find a job though, because my mum's not going to pay for international travel.
Another beautiful moment of growth where like Elle's like, hey, so I want to study far away. Nick kind of watching in the background to see how this goes. And Tao's reaction is like, cool, I guess I better get a job so I can visit you. I love this moment of like Nick seeing that Tao and Elle are going to have a long distance relationship and it seems like it will be okay. And then looking back at Charlie and they're just kind of like leaning into him, kind of that feeling of like, oh, but I don't know. Bye. I love it. Michael just stands up. Bye.
So are they dating or? I'm not really sure.
That's an interesting zoom in on Isaac if it does turn out that Tori is ace.
Take mine off.
Oh, another huge moment of growth for Charlie where he finally feels comfortable letting Nick see him, like taking his shirt off. Now, it would be fine if Charlie never felt comfortable with this. And if he just preferred not to, but like symbolically, this is a huge moment. And I love that Charlie has reached this moment of confidence and trust. Confidence in himself, but trust in Nick. And I mean, like, if you have issues with your body and you're dating Nick, who looks like this, like that is rough.
You sure?
Nick checks in with him, of course. And I love that he lets Nick do this as well. Oh, the forehead kiss.
I love you. And you are so fucking hot.
Nick just perfectly reacts to this moment. Like, he knows what a big deal this is for Charlie. And he tells Charlie he loves him and then reassures him that he likes what he's seeing. So, and we've got a beautiful hug here. I really like that this moment has them hugging rather than kissing. And obviously, like, they kiss after this. And there's nothing wrong with kissing, but like, there's such a moment of connection with just holding someone. And just, yeah, this is a beautiful moment. And now we go into the kissing. We get to see them grinning. Again, just a very healthy depiction of a sexual relationship. And I love that in an episode that is literally called Apart, we get to finish off the episode with them being together in like the closest way possible, physically and mentally, emotionally, all that. And then we have kind of an echo of their time together in Paris when they sleep in the same bed together and we see them in different like positions throughout the night. And then leaves across the screen, nice little forehead kiss, and that's it. I love that this episode does not, I mean, obviously we know that the movie is coming, so we'll get an end, but there was a possibility that it could have ended here, that you know, there wouldn't have been any more, because they didn't know at that time if it was going to get, you know, renewed or given anything. And the fact that they don't have that tough conversation about Nick wanting to go to Leeds University, the fact that it ends here with this beautiful, lovely moment together, I think is great. Because, like, there's always going to be things. There's always going to be problems and, like, potential issues. But, like, the important things, it hit so many important things here about how to have a healthy relationship and how to just be emotionally and mentally healthy in general. Just again and again showing us the importance of being a whole person apart from your partner, being able to be apart, but being stronger when you're together kind of situation. So yeah, just absolutely beautiful episode. I love everything they did in this episode. It is so good. So yay. Yeah, and that's it. That is the end of Heartstopper, the series. Wow. Yes. So what a ride. What a time it's been. What an amazing story. I'm really looking forward to the movie, obviously, even though I just read, as I'm sure many of you have, that they have recast Olivia Colman as Nick's mom, which is very sad, but I understand, like, we can't shoot around her for the finale. Like, Nick needs to have his mom in the final bit of this show, and if Olivia Colman was not available, there's nothing else they could have done. I wish that it had been possible for her to be in it, but clearly it just wasn't. So that's very sad, but I think we can trust them with casting decisions. Like, have you seen everyone else in the show? Like, there's no one, I think, in this entire series who has been miscast. So I'm sad that Olivia Colman will not be coming back, but I trust them to have done a good job with the casting. And I do think it's very important for Nick's mom to be in the movie. So, okay. So how are you feeling? What did you like about this episode? What are your thoughts going forward? Also be aware, I have not read the last bit of the comics yet. I am saving it for a later time, so no spoilers for that in the comments, please, because I do read all the comments, and yeah, please don't spoil me. Although, like, I think it's pretty clear where things are going. All right, so let's wrap up here. Thank you so much to everyone who has gone through this journey with me of many, many years, literally the start of my channel up until now, many years later. So thank you so much for watching. Huge thanks, as always, to our patrons who are so amazing and wonderful and fantastic and spectacular. And a special shout out to our Nick Nelson members, Paul Z, Kim Engel, Angela Mondragon, Tanya, Kent Smither, and Vrodo. All right, that's going to do it for me. Have a wonderful rest of your day or night or whatever time of day it may happen to be, and I will see you next time. Okay, bye.